Good morning, one and all. How goes it? Yeah, well, let's get moving. Today's plan is to get my route actions to load. I need to load them up. Oops, how many tags did I put in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I put 13 tags. I guess that's a little much. Oh well. If I take those off, it'll put these 10 in. Okay. So I was trying to get. I was trying to define. Let's see. Hopefully that's better. Okay. So, it's Friday, man. What does that mean, you say? Well, to me, it means yay. It's the end of my work week. Nah, it's not even a yay. It's the end of the week. I get to play some games or something tonight. I don't know. After all the work is said and done, but it also means I got to get a lot of work done today because I got to try to make some progress. I got a number of things I need to do, so I'm going to probably have 3 streams, or maybe I'll just do 2 working streams and then 1 video. And I got to work on a video. I'm going to do a state of the game, and I'm also going to do kind of a developer roadmap. Hopefully, I can do both today. Oh yeah, and you can expect probably starting Sunday, I will have a new Indiegogo campaign up and running, or not up and running, but previewing. That'll run for probably a week, and I'll start it the following weekend probably, so it won't even be a full week. But so again, I'll be trying to raise money so I can continue to work on this. Hopefully full time. I'm trying to up the amount. I'm doing it as it is, other than the fact that I have to stop and do other things like go make money or try to find jobs or whatever. But ideally, I'm still getting in pretty close to 8-10 hours a day on this. Not always am I streaming, so my streams are, they're a good chunk of it, but they're not all of it, because a lot of times I'll be working on an item. I'll be trying to fix an item that needs to be adjusted or finished or whatever without continuing to, what does that say? I don't even know if that does anything. I don't know that Prettier works with Go, but anyway, I was just, oh yeah, hey, look at my headshot. Got a big picture of myself right in the middle of the screen. This was a headshot for me trying to, why is that even out here? I must have just saved it to my desktop. I was trying to sign up to do some auditions for a local theater, but I was too late. When I did this, I didn't have a resume yet. My resume has like 2 items on it for acting, and one of them is not even a completed item. It's like I'm in progress. So, but hey, take what I can get. I thought I'd give it a go, but I didn't get it in on time. It was all the audition slots were taken up. So, c'est la vie. We'll put that there for now, though. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to try to start getting more and more of the images of the player races. But first, let's get this. Okay, so all right, so I started integrating play actions. No. route actions. And then I started thinking, do I want it to be called route actions? See, this is where I kind of get caught up. So we got route assignments, which is what you're doing. So we got the player position, we got the route ID. Oh, I see what's going on. Yeah, because we can't assign it to, so the route assignments is the player who's running that route. Typically, okay, I get it. So basically what I'm doing is I'm saving a route. Route has various actions on it. Okay. And then path action. I called it path actions, but what they are is route actions. I'm going to change this name because I think route action is better. Path seems weird. I mean, it is on path, but it's your route. So we're going to change everything that says path action to route action. What is the norm here? Are all these things route assignment, path action? Okay, so we're gonna go route action. Okay. All right, why am I not finding any? I am very clearly staring at it right here. Path action. Oh, that's case sensitivity. That's not that many. All right. So it could be that all right, so we got route action. Now my route actions, oh, I didn't even think about that. I got more to put in. So, route to move coordinates. Action to be taken at the coordinates. No, I think that's a misnomer. I think so we got route action. A route action should be the action the way I'm doing it on the code is, or on the site, is I'm listing them. So when you click, you have a move. So it's a move. So the action is either going to be a move with coordinate or an action with an action type. That's probably what it should be. So I think my route action has to be a type. I think you have a route action type. So if we have the type, and coordinates would be optional, so we put in a type, and then I think these have to be types. All right, so in order for me to do that, I'm gonna have to, let's put this in a split window. And then I can close this one. See, this is my route actions, but I'm going to rename this. I haven't actually started using it yet, so it's not a problem. Route action types. Because these are the type of action you can take. But it's not a action. You're not doing the action until it's in the route. So technicalities, I suppose, but it's just a way to discern what the list is going to be. What kind of action can you take? You can take these actions, and which means I've got to ID what positions can take that action. Not everybody can take the action. Like, for example, you're not going to run with the ball if you're a center. Usually, it's not an assignment you're going to get. So we got ID position. Player position, a lineup position. I have a position as the player position, lineup position. I'm trying to decide, do I need that? What is the... I'm trying to decide what lineup position is. So, what was I thinking is the question when I created this. And do I want to get rid of, or do I want to simplify, or do I want to actually utilize? I'm thinking that might be different. Like, player position might be like running back, wide receiver, tight end, but lineup position might be tight end 1, where are they on the field? Wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Are they going to be playing the running back for some bizarre reason? Whatever. Where are you going to be on the play? Which position are you assigned? But what was I thinking? I'm trying to see if that works, because why? The route assignment gets a player position and a route. So that's the route that they'll be executing. Which makes sense. That's what I'll be connecting. That's the route I'm defining, and I'm setting it to the position. That's fine. Play type. Read-only struct will need to be selected in database. So whether or not if it's offensive, defense, name, which is going to be one of several types of plays. Probably run, pass. It's not run, pass, special, blitz. I think blitz is the only other type of play I defined, and that just, in fact, I'm even thinking that's not going to exist, because I think on defense, if you want to do a blitz, it's actually going to be any play that you have a blitzing player. Because I think a blitzing player might define a blitz, but it doesn't define what the defense is focusing on. As in, a blitzing player is any player who's rushing the backfield that isn't a defensive lineman. A CB, a linebacker, a safety. Those guys are going into the backfield. It's meant to disrupt the backfield. It's a blitz. It's generally meant to get the quarterback, disrupt passes, but it could also be very disruptive if you go, send in a corner on a running play who's trying to go wide. You can have a corner waiting for him, So it's possible. It just disrupts the backfield some, but it's a blitz. The guy who's normally not going in the backfield is doing it. So to me, that's a blitz. But it's also not technically a type of play. It's a type of action that can be taken on a type of play. But it could be any type of play. So you're giving a route a blitz action, it becomes a blitz play, even though it might technically not be a blitz play. Your team, you're basically giving all your other players focus on run or pass actions, but the blitz identifies it as something out of the ordinary. You don't simply having a run or a pass defense doesn't designate that everybody on the defense is focusing on that. It just means they're aware. That's kind of one of the things they're looking for. It's a focus for the players, and it can give them a slight edge or boost because that's what they're looking for. That's the point. Makes the players respond to a run a little bit quicker versus if you're focusing on pass, your players might not. What is this? Wait, hold on a sec. Okay.
Tough old cowboy from Texas counseled his granddaughter that if she wanted to live a long life,
My wife
the
sending me
secret
stuff.
was to sprinkle a pinch of gunpowder on her oatmeal every morning. The granddaughter did this religiously until the age of 103, when she died. She left behind 14 children, 30 grandchildren, 45 great-grandchildren, 25 great-great-grandchildren, and a 40-foot hole where the crematorium used to be. A tough old cowboy from Texas counseled his granddaughter that if she wanted to live a long life, the secret was to sprinkle a pinch of gunpowder on her oatmeal every morning. The granddaughter did this religiously until the age of 103, when she died. She left behind 14 children, 30 grandchildren, 45 great-grandchildren, 25 great-great-grandchildren, and a 40-foot hole where the crematorium used to be. A man obsessed with trains.
Right. I know. It's just to stop at that. Okay. So I don't know if you heard that. It was just, they do those jokes on TikTok. My wife's a TikToker. She sends me one every now and then. Somebody told the secret to a long life, and she fed her grandmother, what was it, gunpowder, every day, a little bit at a time, every day religiously. She lived to be 103, had lots of great grandchildren, left behind this many grandchildren, this many grandchildren, this many great-great, this many great-great-great, blah, 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 and a 40-foot hole where the crematorium used to be. Well, they, try to cremate her body full of gunpowder. Kaboom! I know. That's just because I had to explain it to you, because, mansplaining is necessary. I know, not everybody on here's... I mean, can you mansplain to another man? Isn't mansplaining, is it about who you're explaining it to, or is it about the fact that you're just a man who feels like they need to explain something that really doesn't need explaining? Because it's a guy thing to do. I think it's a guy thing to do. I don't know. I don't think it matters who you're doing it to. Typically, guys do it to women because they think women can't figure it out themselves. But I think you can mansplain to anybody, to be honest. There's no particular reason why you can't mansplain to another guy. And guys would look at you and go, I know that already. All right. Where was I? Okay, so we're going to try to figure out how to get this out. I have to synchronize my... So I do have position ID. I'm not sure why my positions have a player position and a lineup position. I don't know what the lineup position would be. I guess it's where that play. I just don't understand why I would do that. It also feels weird to have I probably because I was trying to come up with something that more than a single value field. A list that's like, it has to be one of these items, but it really only have one item. It's like, I think player position would be something like, you know, wide receiver, tight end, running back. And then lineup position would be like, it doesn't know, W1, W2, R1. Tight end 1. And who else would we have? We got a linebacker 1. And this would allow, let's see. See, that doesn't work. Because why would I have the route assignment, the player. I think I'm overcomplicating this. I don't want to overcomplicate things. So we got the play, and then we have the route. Got the play and the route assignments. I think actually, I think what it should be is not position. I got to get this mapped out in my head. I got to make sure that I'm passing this right in front. So we got the play. The play has an ID, user ID. Oh, okay, so I don't have that right now, but don't need a user ID unless I'm going to allow players to create plays, and I haven't decided if that's going to happen yet, or at least not the immediate future. Offense, defense, special teams, which is defined by, okay, so that's fine. The name of the play type ID, which is going to be, you know, I don't even have, well, let's run past special teams. It's RPS. There's no fancy thing. I don't need to create a list for that. Actually, that's not true. I do have other play types. The other play types, the simple play types are run past special teams, but we do have alternate, more detailed play types, which I should probably make available. So I should probably have a seeded play type list. I think I could probably even hard code it. It probably doesn't need to be I think there's only like a handful of play types. Really. There are run wide, run middle, run left, screen pass, short pass, medium pass, deep pass. You know. And I wonder if I should have it be like what I'm doing in my head, and these keep little stalling offs where my brain goes and I'm like doing things and I get quiet. It's because I'm trying to solve the issues, or not the issues, but I'm trying to decide if I'm thinking of things that are going to be scope creep, or if I need that, I want that idea in my head. And the current idea I have is whether or not, like when I'm defining the play, I've got run, pass, and special teams, which are going to be pretty basic special teams. There's only so many options, right? But there is the issue of sub play types, which are really just going to be more play types. You know, a pass is a screen, short, medium, long, or deep, and then a run is a run. But you can also have run wide, run middle, run left, and those are play types that you might want to focus on. Maybe you think the other team's got a weakness on the left side, or I don't know. I mean, whatever you're trying to accomplish, because you know what their team looks like, and maybe you can. See, here's the problem. I'm planning to keep a lot of data. At least there's a lot of stuff I'm going to keep, and I want to be able to provide things like game film. Not game film in the sense that you can not like not game sense in the sense that you can look at. It'd be cool if I could do that, huh? So I'm already keeping all of the history of the games, but not for. I'm not. It's not going to be eternal. So in other words, like during a league season, I might keep like the last week's worth of game details, because I can't keep everything. But like a week's worth, like all of the games played during the last 2 or 3 weeks of a season, whether you played those in 3 days or if you played them in 3 weeks. Either way, I'm only going to keep like so many weeks, so you could watch some recent games if you wanted to. You can skip forward. You could, try to look at where you want to see. It'd be kind of cool to be able to do that, and then you could be like a coach where you're actually watching game film on players. And in doing that, maybe you give your coach experience. By doing that, you gain coach card experience, which could have effects on, play calling or something. I don't know how that's all going to intertwine, but I want everything to be able to provide some kind of experience and gains that can help you. So anything you do in the game will assist in your advancement of your team. So if you use the features, you gain, coaches that put in the time get results. That's kind of what I want. I want you, anything you put in time to, I want it to be able to give you back what what you put into it, kind of thing. So that's my thought. But I'm also trying to make sure that my things like my plays. See, here's what I'm also thinking. I'd like to be able to give you stat information, like you can't, you're not going to be able to see specific plays that the defense ran, but like you might be able to look at play types. How did play types of run right fare? How did play types of run left fare? how to play, and you can kind of look at that maybe um, throughout the course of the last, of the current season or whatever. So it can look and go, okay, well, you've all plays that were run right, had this effect against that defense. So you're looking at their defense, or if you want to know how their offense is, how many times did they throw right, how many times did they throw left, so you can kind of like, if you want to build your game plan around that, you can kind of count that. There's no reason. That's a coach's, what a coach can look at if they want to, and then if they want to adjust for the game plan, they can do that. How many screen passes? How many medium, long? I mean, how often do they throw long? What's their success rate, kind of thing. And you can theoretically build a game plan around it. Now that's some in-depth coaching, but that allows you to go in and actually see how you fare. What allow you to do some coaching that matters. I mean, like, I don't think any game manager lets you do that right now. There's nothing that lets you look at the history of other people's games, and I don't think there is, or maybe there is. I don't know what you can scout as far as viewing game films and stuff of other teams. Now, maybe that's a little too in depth. I mean, I want to try to make it feel like it's realistic, right? Would you know all that? I mean, are you actually watching? I think maybe it should take time. It shouldn't be instantaneous. It's like you can tell your coach to gather stats, and you can come back and look at it the next day. So he spent that day gathering game stats for the team, and then you can look at it and then decide what you want to do with your game plan. I think it should take time, because realistically, you can't just go click and everything's available to you. I mean, would an NFL coach be able to just know that stuff? Is it quick and referenceable? I know they have a lot of pretty high tech stats out there, but do you know how many of those are run pass to the right or to the left or to the middle? What kind of plays have been successful against them? Typically, I know, like in fantasy games, a lot of times it'll show you things like, what are they good against, the pass or the run, but you don't know how good they are against run middles, run lefts, because you're trying to be more specific, right? You're trying to learn when you're planning for a game, and you know that they're weak. You want to know where their weaknesses on the run game are. Where are they playing their main players, their best players? You're like, well, okay, they seem to be able to stop a lot of stuff going to the left. Left runs don't have much success against them, but right runs seem to have a little bit more success. Or in general, runs are kind of weak, and they pass more. So, and that's kind of where too. It's like, are you adjusting when you adjust your game plans? Do I allow for weekly edits? You can have like a basic game plan, and then do you have a weekly edit, or do you just always play the same? You could have a game plan you always use that's the same. Why not? But maybe you want to make a tweak for this game. It's a playoff game, and you want to I think I want to tweak for this team. You're going to look at the details and go, okay, well, now some people would probably say something like automate, would be a good option, but I don't want to automate. I'm thinking like, what good you're letting the computer play for you. And I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, I could automate. Like, you can go in there and go adjust for coach review, and then it'll like put in more run defense or more right more right pass or left pass or screen pass defense, or maybe more medium and longs because the other team's not good at covering them. But that stuff you can automate. Yeah, it'd be cool. But it also isn't you playing the game. The whole point is to let the player play the game. And I think it's not reasonable to just, because then you're just like, okay, well, you can have like the coach edit game film or review game film, and he'll gain experience that might help in stats to help him, do whatever the coach does during the game. But there's not going to be any playbook editing, no tweaks or game adjustments specific for what he did. It just allows him to up his skill for whatever he does do. Maybe his skills might get better and he can review game film faster. So it's, a rookie coach might take him, a day. A more experienced coach gains a lot of experience doing that, and he learns some tricks, and now it only takes him, 8 hours to do game film. So you can look at it later in the day. Or maybe as he gets better, he can do it in a few hours. And now you can look at game film more consistently as your coach gets better. So that kind of thing. So I have a lot of ideas for how I'm going to make different things available, but I want to be able to make that stuff functional for the player. So again, this comes down to let's get my routes done and defined. I don't know what I'm going to do with things like ID prefixes for different types. We got prefix playbook, play type, formation, route. We're going to go, I don't know what this is, but we're going to have a prefix route. Hey, man, look at that. I really like some of this IntelliSense influence. That's exactly what I was going to add as my route action. And it's like, check that out. It just, bam. All I had to do is put that in there. Huh. Cool. Still. So I got my playbook will have my plays. My plays will have my route assignments, which is the player position plus okay. Oh, this is their coordinates for where they line up. That's what that is. Player field coordinates. This is not a actually position field coordinates, and this is actually going to be the W1, R1, T1, L1, etc. Now, when they have a single letter, there's going to be O and D, which is offensive and defensive linemen. But line at position is position field coordinates. This is where they'll be put on the field. So this is where I know where my players are going to be positioned. That's what that's supposed to be. Okay, now I remember. So then we have so we have the player position and the route we'll give them. So wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. And that comes with, so that's got to be unique to everybody. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you might ask, why am I doing single letters instead of tight end, wide receiver, running back? Good question. It's because it doesn't display well on the field. you get 3 characters in there, and it gets hard because know which one's wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and I need to see when I go put these people on the field. I need to know. I need to be able to display their positions. So, like you see, I have a formation C data, and the formation C data is just 2 digits. It doesn't have to always be a 1, 2, 3, 4, but it can be a non-numeric. So but the thing is, I have to go T for tight end because we can have up to 2 tight ends. But like there isn't like a left and right tight end. So, but these are the positions on the field. Al is linebacker, but these would be like left guard, left tackle, center, and then we have what defense would be an NT nose tackle. I think I have NT down here. Yeah, NT nose tackle. Defensive end 1 and 2, which is actually probably supposed to be. See, I didn't even shrink these like that. I don't even care about this. This is just L1. L. Dang it! Why did it do that? L2. Nope. L3. Nope. L4. This is supposed to be L1. And this should be a 2. And this should be 3. I think you can actually have up to 5 linebackers. But this is just going to be a C1, C2. Free safety, safety. Now the defensive ends, do I say defensive end 1? No, it's either going to be probably an E1. E1 versus got nose tackle, defensive end. And there's also, what's the other position? Defensive. Is it a defensive tackle? Defensive, because there's when you have 4, you have the ends and you have the nose tackles. And what is the other positions in the center? Right? So if you're playing a 3-man rush, it's 2 defensive ends and a nose tackle. But if you're playing a 4-man rush, it's 2 defensive ends and 2... What are they? What are they? Are they guards or tackles? Are they defensive tackles? Good question, me. I don't know the answer. This is a base. What is this thing? Oh, tackle. Oh, it is tackle. Tackle 1 and 2, but I can't use a T for tackle because I got T for tight end. That's not going to work. I can't have the same. I mean, I guess because if it's defensive, if it's a defensive. I'd have to change a lot if I did that. If it's a defensive play, left end. See, I have a left end. This is probably just supposed to be defensive end. And right end. but or defensive end. I'm trying to decide. I'm trying to simplify here. If it takes, do I just say end? Probably end one, and end two. Again, it doesn't matter. You're gonna put in whatever player you want there. You assign them to the position you want. What I'm always gonna do is probably go right to left. You can't, because wide receiver 1 might be on the right or left. You can flip. I'm wondering if I should give everybody 2 plays and just allow them to flip play. You know, flip a play and just have it automatically be the odd opposite. Odd opposite. All right. I guess some guys only get 1 letter. Actually, only 1 guy gets this. I could technically have the QB just be a Q, but I think we're good. This should be like R1, R2, R3. Again, it's too specific. I'm not going to have, I mean, do I really have a fullback, a halfback? Can you have 2 fullbacks? Can you have 2 halfbacks? Can you have 2 running backs? I think you have 2 running backs for sure. But are they just he's an RB. We're just gonna call him RB. R1. R1. R2. R3. And R1 will just always be well, it's like your starter, right? You always put the starter position. Fullbacks and halfbacks are never the starter. They're always the guys that are on the sideline until they're called in. So it's a depth chart thing. What your size and skill might determine if you're a halfback or fullback, but you're still just a running back who is probably 2nd or 3rd string. So you could be 2 running backs, but you're still probably, if you're 2nd string, you're probably situational. Even a, what do you call it, run by committee situation, one of the guys is a starter. He's the guy who gets to go in on the first play. He's the starter. Alright. Cleaning up, man. Trying to make things look a little better. I could just say safety 1 and safety 2, but I'm not. They are not technically interchangeable. Safeties have different purposes and different size. I still think a strong safety and a free safety are kind of like, they have different jobs. Their positions can be changed, but their jobs are different. So a free safety might run on the right or the left, or he might, he has different focus. All right. as such, those are my positions, defined as of the moment. And these are my current play actions, which could be all kinds of other things now that I thought we got... we have 25. We have... bump. No, not bump. No, sorry. This should be a W can do this. Whoops, no! Fingers. You're making life difficult. We're going to say this could be a W, a running back, or a tight end. And this will be called a play type. Would be, what would this be? Pass? And this would be a bump. Hit slash block defender. Briefly prior to running route. Or let's just say continuing, because sometimes you have to move forward first. Like a running back may actually have to move 5 or 10 yards forward or to the direction he wants, and then he does something. He might run to the right or the left, and then he does a bump. But it probably doesn't matter. I guess. What other options can you do? I had something earlier, and it dropped a bunch of options down. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even think about that one or that one. But we definitely need that one. This one. Okay, so WRT is a wide receiver, running back, or tight end. These guys could all bump and run. I need that one in there. Okay, so, and these load up as a general play type. So play types are just pass, run, and special, and then I have blitz. But there are other play types because it's going to have directional. But I wonder if I want to do, then I have to do like a play category. No, that overly complicates things. I mean, there's no reason for me to have, I could have a seed for play types. I just generalize on these ones. So these guys are all pass, run, or special. But I'm trying to decide if I need to have, I don't know if I need it to be a seed data. That's the thing. I'm trying to decide if I need, what I want to do is create a, a fixed list of play types, because there's not that many options. But I don't need it to be in the database necessarily. I don't think Full House is an actual. I don't think Full House is an actual formation. I mean, maybe it is. I got this from. I allowed AI to create formations for me, but I don't know that that's an actual formation. It looks kind of funky to me. Like, I don't know. It's not really. Doesn't look like one, but I don't know. So, how different is the victory formation from the brotherly shove formation? I think they're about the same, aren't they? So what is that? The victory formation is because you kind of line up in a V. And you take the snap and you kneel down. But that's just what you do with it, wouldn't it? It'd be like, what else would be a tight formation or a push formation? What would it be called? I don't want to call it the victory formation because that's what it's called. It's what you do when you're about to win. But you could run different kind of play with it. There's not very many play options, but you could theoretically run a pass play out of it or a running play out of it. It would just be a funky type of setup. The idea is that you're going to go for a short yardage gain. Mm-hmm. Hmm. All right. It's just blocking a spammer. Yeah, maybe I should just put it in the database. Because I'm going to have to load it at some point. I'm trying to decide what it's going to look like on the UI. If I want to put the play types, I was trying to decide if it's possible to derive the play types and add it, like call it a sub play type or something that's determined. Like I could probably figure out like a screen is, because a subcategory a play could technically qualify for multiple categories of plays. Like you could technically have a deep pass and a screen pass on the same type of play, right? You could, if you have a guy that's going back for the quick screen, but you could also have a guy who runs deep, and therefore it becomes a deep or a screen pass. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It's still a pass, which makes it its general category, but it's like, how do I define I feel like those could be derived. like if there's a run to the right or the left, I could derive a run right left. I can have I can either derive it from what's there from the route, in which case it just needs to be smart enough to be able to look at that. Now, yeah, it might be easier to look, but I think it can grab any play that qualifies. In which case, I don't need to do anything else. Yeah, I think I'm going to derive the extras. Yeah. You're like, just make up your mind, man. You're taking forever on this. It shouldn't be taking this long. Just do it. Just move on to the next thing. Hey, look, this game, if it's going to be cool, has to be well thought out, right? I mean, come on. You have to... Oh, that's dark. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do that. Let's go. Okay, so that means I don't need to do. All right, so we're there. Let's go back to my types. Still trying to map these out. I now know that this is coordinates. That's good. We have our formations, which I've already been loading and getting that going. I'm not totally sure on the... I've been using int, but I'm starting to think I should be using letter. I don't know why. I mean, why does it matter if it's a letter or an int? I mean, it's a single letter. It's either O, D, or S. Duh. It's not that hard. And it sure makes it easier to see than trying to remember what the options are. Yeah. All right, so we got player lineup position. We know what the coordinates are. We got the route assignment, which is going to be what is that player position and what is the route ID, because then we have to have a route, which the route is going to then have the a definition of its own. Thing is, you'll never be able to reuse a route. Even though I have the routes, you can't really reuse them because I don't have a way to... So basically, every time I create a route, it's just going to go in there and be what it is. Now, in theory, I could potentially reuse routes to auto-generate some plays. That might be a thing. Auto-generating plays might be kind of cool. So once I've got a lot of plays in the system, I could auto-generate some plays that just use different combinations of routes. But it would have to be So play type ID has to be run. Run pass. I'm actually thinking of taking blitz out, to be honest, because I feel like a blitz is no different from any other action. It's just an action you can take. It's typically on a pass play, but the problem is I'm trying to filter out what actions you can take, and a blitz is kind of generic. It can go on any kind of play. You could theoretically bump and run on a run play too. So I'm wondering if I should even bother filtering the actions. Then it doesn't matter. You just have the actions. I might go offense defensive actions because they do different things, but how did I position play type? I might just, thing is, certain players won't be able to do certain things. Like you can't bump and run as a lineman, right? So that's a position filter. You can have offense, defense, special teams, which could at least limit what guys can do it. So you have a position limiter and a team limiter, but I might not need a play type limiter, because you can do all of this stuff. You can run a route, bump and run routes, block. All that stuff can be done. Should you be blocking downfield as a receiver? Probably not. But, you know, maybe it's your call, man. If you want to do that, it will call a penalty on you, though. The game will know that you're doing it. It would be kind of cool if I could, like, when penalties happen, actually have them happen, and then it would show you the play, or maybe have a fake video. You know, like every time a guy gets called for holding, it'll have some character grabbing another character and throwing him to the ground. Just some kind of holding call. This way you could see penalty on the play. Number was holding, and then you like show a video of a player holding another player and throwing him to the ground. That'd be kind of funny. Again, it makes the game more interesting when you could actually go like, who got called for holding? And it would show you the player. Yeah, I think I'm going to get rid of play type. I don't think play type's going to matter. I'm not going to filter your actions except by team. So what I am going to go with is the offense, defense, special teams. I probably can just say offense, defense, special. But we're going to change this. So we're going to go Control F. And then we're going to go find the... Oh, wait. No, find play type. We're going to replace it with this. And then we're going to go replace. Special with 2. And replace pass with, see, I mean, I already with, oh, offense is 1, which is probably wrong. 2, which is probably wrong because offense, defense, special teams. Oh. Oh. All right, so these should all be passed. Okay, so that's definitely offense, 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 offense. More offense, more offense, offense, offense. This is defense. Then we have defense. Oh, I know. Oh, dang it. See? I'm really wondering if I should be doing it this way. I feel like it's probably the wrong way to do this. Two. This is a 2. What is that? It's supposed to be block. Anybody can be block. Block for returner. This is technically a defensive thing, but anybody can get it. Oops, dang it. It's not. It's a 2. All right, and that is drop kick ball to other team. This is an offensive play. This should actually be something like kicker, QB. And this is a defensive play, and this is an offensive play. Okay, so I think that's a little bit better. I'll just have them assigned to the type of team. All right, it's better. All right, so that'll solve one problem in my head. Because these are actions, they don't deserve to be a play type. A play type is going to be a run, pass, or special, and I don't need the rest. Okay, so we're going to go back down here to types. Relative move coordinates. So we got the route action is either going to be a move, so we got, shoot, let's close this one, and we don't need a store. What is that? I don't need that. Route action. Okay, so we got route actions here. We got ID, position. Position is going to be a string. And it's going to be something like first letter of the positions can perform this action. And then we have the name, and this one's going to have to be offense, defense, special team, which is an int. I don't know why I did it that way. 1 offense, oops, 2 defensive special teams. Okay, Name. Don't need play type, but we do have descriptions, so we don't need this. Whoa. Oh, this one has all kinds of actions. Dude, I don't know what all these are, but look at that. Chip, block, release. Zone, screen. Screen is not really an action. It's a type of play. We got man, yeah, bump, yeah, scout, turn, curl, slant, post, go, out, in. And it's an in if he runs that way. Yes, but I'm not gonna. Because you're either running in or you're running out. I don't know. Wheel. I don't know what the heck a wheel is. A wheel, a drag. What the heck is that? I know what a corner is. A fade. Fade is. I think a fade is to the near post, and a corner is to the opposite post, if I remember correctly. So like if you're running on the right side and you're doing an out route fade, you're going to drift towards the sideline, which means you're not going to have a lot of ways to go, but you're fading out. And then if you're doing a corner route, you're basically going out and you're running straight to the opposite. It's almost like a slant, but typically I think you don't actually go up and over. You basically just run a diagonal. Any slant that goes straight across diagonally is a slant, I think. But if you go forward, or is a corner technically, and if you're doing a slant, you might not do a slant to the corner, you might do a slant to the middle of the field. It's just like anything that goes diagonally, but it's not to the corner. It's kind of like this. You go into the middle of the field. So a slant's a diagonal to the middle. A corner is a diagonal to the corner of the end zone. Come back. Again, I'm not sure how that's different from a turn or a curl. I mean, dig, seam, cross. So a cross is kind of like an in. I don't know how that's different. Maybe it's a diagonal that goes to the center with, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. Pick, rub, screen, pick. Pick is technically illegal, so you shouldn't be running a pick. But chip, block, release. Bump answers the release. I mean, a bump is meant to be a temporary short block, which means you release. Oh, but I guess technically the defensive version of that is release. A bump is an offensive version. I didn't think about that. Oh, yeah, I got to put in a release here. Release is a defensive version. That's when you like hit the receiver and maybe you go for the block, but you let him go. And you let the guys behind you deal with them. So you're releasing him to move on. But a release is like a fake pass or a fake cover. How did I get up? It just adds all kinds of weird. It's like way on to the next thing. Oh, 26 is fine. Never mind. But this one is supposed to be a defensive play. And this is generally, I guess it could be an L, a C or an L. Oh, I guess just for consistency, we'll call it L or C. Can a safety? A safety probably shouldn't be releasing anybody. You're kind of the last line of defense. If they're coming to you, you're probably not supposed to release. But we will call it release. And like I said, release is just you're letting the guy go. It's not even necessarily always going to have a block. It just means you're going to like fake the coverage, and then you're going to release him and go cover someone else or go do something else. Why would you cover the receiver briefly prior to... prior to switching focus. For now, that'll work. Gotta make sure we have lots of options. But, so we do have our route action. We have our positions. All right, we got everything in there, I think, now for some decent route actions. But this is wrong. This is, what do I call this? Because the action you take... I could theoretically see, that's what I'm saying. It should be route action types, huh? Because these are the types, and then you have the action you take, which is either going to be a move. Because I got to assign it to the route. So we got the route has a route action. The action is a move, which is some kind of an action. It's either a route action. Yeah, I think I have to change this to action types because I don't know how else to assign the action. What else would it be called? Route assignment? Which I think I already have a route assignment because that's the assignment of the route to the player. So, yeah. So, all right, so we're going to call this route action types. Route action type. And then we're going to go over here, control home. Do I have anywhere where this is defined on the page? Yes, it's supposed to be there. Now, how about casing? Looks like it's supposed to be, everything's lowercase. Except for offense, defense, special teams, which I just inserted. And I know I'm going to, something's going to get on, that's going to get on my nerves. That's going to trip me up, man, if I have one thing. All right, so we're going to call this route action types because I don't want case to be a thing. It just bugs me. I hate doing all lowercase, but I also hate being tripped up by cases. Honestly, I wish there was a better name. I don't like offense, defense, special teams. It's like, it's really all it is. It's those three things, but I feel like I want to say team, but team just is going to be a problem. Uh, team unit, I could say that. But I don't know. That feels wrong too. So I'm just going with offense, team, and special teams. So it is what it is. What it is, man. I'm doing it. I'm doing it, man. Got to do it for consistency, though. This is going to be called this, because these guys are all uppercased. So I'm doing it that way. So we got route action types. Route action types. Formation is still formation. Okay, so we got route action type. Okay, so we have that. And so this would be, I should probably just have one that's called move, so I can assign it, because then it's the action. We assign the action. Not all of them will be a move, but the route action is the move, and then if there's a follow-up to that. So we're going to go route ID, route action type ID. Yeah, I think I need to do move. I wasn't going to, but I think I need a move. I don't know what to assign it to. Do I have to do it for all of the I guess do I have to do it for every team just to have it be valid, or can I just call it It just occurred to me. I don't need offense, defense, special teams either. I'm giving them positions that are all unique to the. It's like WRT. Well, that's just the wide receiver, running back, tight end. Why would I need center is C? We got guard and tackle. If I separate them, I comma delineate them, I would not need to designate the special teams because I have position filter. The position filter would prevent me from, if I comma delineate them, I can do things like put other positions in there, like nose tackle, NT, or anything else I want to put in there. Linebacker, which is, I could just say L, and then I don't have other positions, but I can put like a left guard or ends, guards, tackles. I might have to do something like a DT for tackles, because I think there's offensive and defensive tackles. There's nose tackle. There's just the left and right tackle. I think you either have I can do an OT for offensive tackle, or D end for defensive end. do I call the offensive? Because it can't be a tight end. It'd be OT for offensive tackle. But there's two of them. So if I was just to do that, I'd have to call them a right tackle and a left tackle. God. Are they the same in... All right, let's see. Dang it. What are the defensive line positions in the NFL? Defensive end, yeah. Defensive tackle, yeah. Nose tackle. Okay, so you're either an end, a tackle, or a nose tackle. So really, they're just tackles on defense. Nose tackle explicitly puts, that's like if you're playing with a 3-4. But if you're playing with a 4 whatever, you would have 2 defensive tackles and 2 defensive ends. Usually you don't have more than 4 players that are linemen. And I mean, I guess you could have a nose tackle, 2 defensive tackles left and right, and an end, but I don't know. I think usually even then it's 3. It's like a nose tackle, 2 defensive ends, and if you go to 5, you're going to play linebackers. Linebackers will come in. What positions are used in a 5-2 defense? I'm learning. I'm two. Oh, okay. It is 2 ends, 2 tackles, and a nose tackle. Huh. Guess I was wrong. I thought you just go to linebackers, 2, and then inside linebacker. Well, they're really. Oh, wow. Yeah, a 5-2 defense. These are the 2. And these are the 5. So it's kind of funny because this is 5. I mean, a 5-2 defense is, you have 2 inside linebackers, I'd imagine. That's just meant to be, that's your plug. You got these 5 and these 2. And then these guys are positioned outside, like they're way out, but they're close to the line. You could potentially only use the 2 inside linebackers or the 2 linebackers and then just play CBs. But the idea is that it's a run stop situation. So you're wanting linebackers, which are better at tackling. Less covery, but better at tackling. Generally. That's the rule. They're supposed to be better at tackling. Better at covering the run. But okay. So I'm just trying to think how I'm going to put these players on, you know, how do I do a move positioning, or how do I delineate them here? I think if it's a single letter, but I'm trying to decide, okay, like if I want to do a move action that covers any, I think what I'll do is a move that covers any. I'm trying to wonder if I need the offense, defense, special teams delineation. That's really what it comes down to. I just say what players can have it, and that should be my filter. But I'm trying to say, how do I separate an offensive tackle from a defensive tackle? Because they're not called that. Because they're ends and they're tackles, but there's tackles on the offense and there's tackles on the defense. Now, I could have a DT and an OT, but then I don't have the number. I can't have the number delineation. And the single characters. And then on offense, the other position is a guard, right? You got the center, the tackles, and the guards. That's 5. But there's no guards on defense. They just have tackles and ends. So you got ends, tackles, and on offense. I can't call them tackles. They all have to have their delineation. So it'd have to be a DT or an OT. Or I call them specifically what they are, the left tackle, the right tackle. Nose tackle is always defense, but gosh dang it. I get stumped on the goofiest things. Why do they have to make it so hard? I don't want triple letters, but I don't think I need the offense, defense, special teams delineation. I could simplify this. I'm taking this out. I'm telling you, I don't need it. I want less complication. I haven't decided how I'm gonna, because this way I could do stuff like create a move. Anybody can be set to block, but honestly, I should probably just say that's defense, but that's a special teams anyway. Most special teams are going to be different set of players. Everybody's going to be different. Hey, Ariano, how's it going, man? What's the latest with you? I'm trying to optimize my play scenarios. I had all of my stuff kind of working yesterday until I had to pull. You know what? There's got to be a better way to do this. Let's just go offense, defense, special teams. No, gotta do it this way. Because that isn't going to take out. Can I look for this option? And then go replace with nothing. What does that do? No, did exactly what I don't want it to do. No, it's funny. I laugh because I had this conversation one time before where refactoring can screw things up. There's no doubt about it. But no, this ain't refactoring. I got to a new functionality that I hadn't prepared, which was pulling the route actions from the back end. I didn't have them fully defined in the back end, and I had already got my route set up where it was loading up nice and putting them in, but I hadn't connected any of that to the back end, saving it, loading the actions, that kind of thing. And so once I got it all working, I said, all right, well, it's time to put in the route actions that I can assign to each position in the route. And that's when it broke, because it goes, well, you don't have route actions defined. I can't load these items from the database. You haven't created them yet. So that's what I'm doing now. I've been spending my time trying to fix that. And in doing that, I'm defining what exactly is a route action, who all can execute it, how am I going to have those actions, be filtered according to the type of player that's running it. how do I want to filter that and display it on the front end? That's kind of what I've been going back and forth on, and I'm trying to set, you know, I don't want to overcomplicate anything. You know, that's kind of the important thing. So that's kind of what I've been doing here. And so, yeah, my front end isn't working yet because it's waiting for me to create the route actions. Hand egg? Oh, oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I'm going to block you now. No, this is not soccer. That is not football. That is soccer. Real football is using a hand egg. If you don't have a hand egg, you are not playing football. You're playing soccer. Look, you guys have an alternate name. You soccer fans. There's another name for your sport. It's called soccer. Use it. American football does not have another name. There's no hand egg. There is only football for American football, and we're not going to put American on it because Canada plays it too. It's just football. And if you don't like it, use soccer. Then we know the difference. There's no confusion. Soccer, football. No confusion. Everybody knows what they are. Even across the world, even they know that soccer is football. And otherwise, spell it with a U. If you really must have football, use a U. Yank ball. You know, technically, the Yankees are the north part of the United States. And even then, it's the northeastern part of the United States. It's not all of the United States. So, of course, I guess the NFL did start in the Northeast. But no, we're not going there. We're not going with yank ball either. You know, I'm gonna ask a question here. When was soccer first played professionally in the world? Oh, whatever. It should still be called football. Was it called football or was it called football? Sheffield FC. Where is Sheffield FC? $1860. So they only had like a 50-year head start. But whatever. So what? America gets it. It's ours. Yeah, I'm so saying England probably uses two O's. And I said I can't justify. I was trying to justify that they should be using a U. But I'm guessing they use two O's because that's England and English is English based. Still, you know, we stole the country from England, from Britain. So we're stealing football. You get soccer. We gave you another word. Use it. I don't know, man. There's no other option. It's going to be football all the time. No, but this is American football, done by an American. Yes, they probably should have come up with a different name. I have no idea what that would have been. Hand egg would probably not have been it, though. Pretty sure. Maybe there's just not that many options, you know? I mean, I guess I would have been okay if they would have just called it rugby. But then rugby, because how long has rugby been around? When was the first rugby game played professionally? Geez, that was 11 years later. I would have probably been okay. Throw ball. Yeah, but you don't throw it all the time. Sometimes you hand it off, like rugby. And rugby throws the ball too, right? I would have probably been okay if it would have been called rugby. And, I mean, if we're going to steal a name, rugby's closer to football than soccer is, right? Because but then they can call it American rugby. But at least it's rugby. It's the same kind of thing, but Americanized. We gave it our own rules and our own stuff. But it is still the same kind of game. Yeah, we use pads, but we still throw the ball. Do they? I think they even kick the ball in rugby, don't they? Isn't that how they try to get the ball to the other team? They just kick it down the field. I think they do all the same stuff. They just don't kick field goals and extra points, I don't think. But they run it, they hand it off, they throw it. It's the same basic thing. I would have been okay with that. I think the problem was that Americans like to have the word ball, baseball, basketball, football. And then I guess they never called it soccer ball. It's only because, I don't know. I don't even know where the word soccer came from, but I think they could have come up with a name that would have worked. They could have called it, I mean, if they wouldn't have been. No and yes. My game is going to be different from any other American football game out there, because you will have fan interactions, some amount. Basically, my goal is to make, unlike. All right, here's the idea. My game is going to focus on the game, but it's not going to be a play game like Madden, like any of the simulators where you're using a joystick and you're playing, or Retro Bowl where you drag your finger around to throw the ball. But a lot of the Android games use a finger to control it, but you're not going to control your players. It's going to be a sim, so more like a manager, a la in the soccer world. You got what is it? Football Manager or something like that. I don't know, something like that. Something like that where you're not really controlling the game so much as the team. But I plan to I want the game to be more important than a lot of those simulators make the game. It's like front office football is an American version of that, where you have all the back end controlling. It's a football manager. But the simulation of the game is terrible. They make the simulation pointless. You know, click a button and the bar moves back and forth on the field. Who's moving the ball around. Some of them try to put some X's and O's or circles on the field, but it still looks terrible. It's like it's not fun to watch. I want to make the game fun to watch. So I point people on the Android, because this is going to be an Android app as well as a web app, but the web app's not going to be as visually cool. It's going to have limits because it's a web app. But the Android app will have players on the field that run the plays. Sort of like a Madden game might, or any other game where you put the players on the field. But you're going to have, since it's a sim, you're going to have other kinds of interactions you can do on the field. One of them is you could play with the fans and like trigger emojis by doing certain things on the fan area. You could, between plays, I want to have the players running back to the line, but you could tap on players and they'll respond to you. They'll turn and go Something like that. Not all the time and not every play, but they will have interactions with you on the field. Additionally, I want to be able to have just more stuff happening on the field to make watching the simulation kind of fun. And your interactions will have an effect on the field. So if you're triggering emojis all the time on the and if you're playing against someone else, like your team is playing one-on-one against another team, you trigger an emoji, it'll trigger it on their screen as well as on yours. So if you're if you're playing, well, it'll trigger it on their screen if you're the home team. If you're not the home team, then it won't trigger as often. It'll trigger small. You won't be able to trigger like the wave, because you're never going to get a wave going on an away game. You might, but it'll be pretty weak, and I'm not going to do that here. I'm using a Mongo database. That's my backend. I'm using Go as my services backend, but my database backend is going to be Mongo database. And I'll have real players. I'm using real NFL player stats, but I will be using altered player names. And to make it more interesting, those altered player names are actually going to be puzzles. They're going to be anagrams. So people will have to figure out what their name is. The team logos are going to be anagrams too of the actual teams they represent. Colors I'm going to keep the same because just colors, but they're going to be anagram team logos. So like the Denver Broncos are the V-Born Scorned. And I say the Broncos because I'm a Broncos fan, and that's what we get as one of my teams that I've already made up. But the players will look like, that's where the fantasy comes in. It's going to be set in a fantasy realm, a fantasy world, but it's still playing NFL rules. I'm not going to break the game with the player abilities. I am going to use their abilities or their looks to define what some of their special moves and celebrations might be. Now, the moves would be things like if he's breaking away for a touchdown, maybe a guy who can fly, his wings come out and he starts to fly towards the end zone. It won't actually be he's taking flight and getting away from everybody. It's more like the play's a simulation and it knows he gets away, or he starts to. Maybe on a long play his wings come out, maybe he gets tackled right before. But if he actually gets away from them, and that's defined by the fact that the play's already, it's being rendered for you, but the play knows that he gets away because it's already been calculated. In which case it's replacing his movement with his animation or his special actions. So you're not getting the guy's not breaking off and flying and that's why you get away. No, it's more like he just gets the special animation because it turns into a touchdown and he's getting this action. So I want to be able to do stuff like that. Now that's all going to be well and cool and look good, but I haven't even gotten to the UI parts. So right now I'm still doing the web. The web part is my interface. A little bit of everything, but no, they're actually going to be using real life stats. And by the way, American football, they are not called matches. No. They're called games. Game results. So, yes, the players will have actual stats from the actual NFL. So I'll import player stats that have calculations and formulas that determine what their skills are. But additionally, there will be things like motivation can tweak a little bit their stats. They can have, synergies that can affect their stats. They can have momentum, which can affect their stats. Lots of things will affect. So they will play slightly different possibly in each game, where they might have slightly better skills, but they can also gain experience, which will increase their skills potential, their every player has potential, which means the area which they can increase to. Um, and you can gain experience, which can push you towards your potential. So there's a lot of things that'll tweak how a player performs on the field. It's not going to be as much as like some game managers. They'll go into the weeds of like you'll have a million different stats. I saw one front office football goes as far as to have like combine results, and I'm like, really? And then they have like all this quarter this college stats and other things. And it's like, okay, maybe helpful when you're drafting a player, but I don't think we need that level of detail. I want to have a lot of things that you can tweak and adjust, but mostly things that are affected by your actions. Like, do you do coaching? Coaching skills can go up, which can affect how well they motivate and push, and maybe even how good they are at selecting plays based on the situations. You're going to be able to control your own game plan, where you're going to, if you look, yeah, well, the NFL doesn't have transfers. They have trades, same kind of thing. It's the transfer market, the waiver wire. But I've seen a lot of. Okay, this is another thing that I'm not convinced on. Everybody will be able to do leagues, and you can change the names of teams. But again, it's all based on the NFL, so you're going to have NFL team names and that kind of thing. But so it's not going to be like some of the league managers that have like I've seen some American football managers that totally throw away the NFL stuff, and they have like 1,000 different team names and leagues, and they have it broken up. They even call them matches. I can tell that these games are designed by like overseas companies or developers because they do things like transfer market, and they call them matches, and they call them friendlies, and I'm like, what? That's not football. But they're using American football as the game, but it uses all of the nomenclature of soccer. And I'm like, that's really weird. It throws me off. Mine is going to be kind of NFL based, except again, you're going to be using, it's going to look different. But yes, I do plan to have a lot of the stuff where you can do waiver wires, and I'm trying to figure out how to define the player. Mafa? Man, American football great again. Yeah, I hope. Hey, it's great now. But you're talking about on video games. I don't think there is a good. To me, what I look for in a football game, okay, there's two different types of. Well, all right, there's probably multiple types. I consider myself a middle of the roader. I don't really care for the gameplay, the using controllers. And the reason I don't like that isn't because it's not kind of fun controlling your players, is because it's not really done well. And people who are really good at the controller basically can run up the score against the computer. I mean, I've seen enough YouTube videos and Twitch videos of people playing Madden that I'm like, yeah, this is... the computer can't mimic or control. Eventually they figure out, and the players are just 42-10. It's like they play 2-minute quarters and they're winning by 15 points or 20 points all the time. I'm like, that's not the controller bit. We haven't managed it. Nobody's developed apparently a football game that gives you realistic scores on a full length game against good players. A good player, I'm sorry, even if you have built and managed the perfect team, and maybe you're really good at the controller, you still shouldn't win by for one, you shouldn't be guaranteed to win, even if you're really good. You shouldn't be winning by scores more than 15 points a game on the average. It just shouldn't happen. I don't care how good you are. I mean, yeah, the best team with the greatest players in the NFL might win by an average of 15 on occasion, but it should be very rare. And you'd have to have like the perfect team or a really good team going. And I just don't think joystick controlled games are there yet. They haven't figured out how to balance that. But if you simulate a game, that's when things can become balanced, right? Because then the game is AI versus AI. You might be able to create logic, or situational playbook, which this game will allow you to do, where you can basically script the entire game if you want to. But the idea is that the game's going to run the players against each other, and they're going to run at their speed. The AI is going to make its own decision against other AI. It's all going to be computer versus computer, and then you can balance it. And that's kind of a thing too. My feeling is, again, if you're a YouTuber, I say the very best player controlling, yeah, maybe you could tweak the difficulty, and I kind of get that, you tweak it, but at the hardest level, to me, that should be real level. That's the realistic level. That is lifelike opposition. And that means the absolute best players in the world with a great team. Like if a YouTuber who takes the worst team, right now on most games, a YouTuber who takes the worst player, or somebody who grinds all the time, even if they're not a YouTuber, they just play at home. They play all the time. They've mastered the game. And they take the worst team and still win the Super Bowl. Should not be possible. It should not even, I don't care how good they are. You could take the best player in history at running back or quarterback or whoever you think, one of the greatest players. You should, and they're not going to win the Super Bowl because they're playing on the worst team in the league. You can't do it. And that should not be possible. Yes, you might be able to make that team win a few more games. Like if you threw Barry Sanders at his best on some team, that team might win more often because they're no longer the worst team. They got Barry Sanders. Or if you threw Peyton Manning or Drew Brees on the team, or you gave him Jerry Rice or some great player, yes, you might win more games, but you're not going to win the Super Bowl because that team is the worst in the league. But a YouTuber, they'll do that. They go grab the worst team. I'm going to take the Jets and I'm going to win the Super Bowl. And then they plow through and they win Super Bowl, which is to me nonsense. It's not going to happen. I think, yeah, a true game would be the best players have to have a good team at least to turn them into a great team. And you can't just do it with anything. It's just like a team has to be built correctly. Now, having a toggle that lets you adjust the difficulty because maybe you're not the greatest player, I can see it. You're going to lower that difficulty a bit. But still, if you lower the difficulty down to your skill ability, is he? I don't know. I've heard the name before. I've heard that name. But who was it? Somebody just showed me a couple of, it's funny. My knowledge of soccer is pretty slim. I only could think of like 2 or 3 players, and they're usually, they're retired players already. So that's my knowledge of soccer. I don't have a lot of information. Best football player in the U.S. in the USA is Lionel Messi. Oh, gee, that's the U.S. I don't even know the U.S. team. The thing is, the U.S. team, is historically not a good team. I mean, unless they're the women. The women are pretty good. The well, have been. I don't know if they are now. But the Lionel Messi, really? I don't know. I've seen some really good players all time. They probably took him from another team, I'm guessing. Greatest of all time, though. There's some great all-time players. It'd be hard to believe. Who was it? Somebody just sent me a video like a month or so ago about some dude who did stuff with the ball I couldn't fathom. I thought it was fake. I didn't think it was fake, but the guy was just beyond amazing. Now he doesn't play anymore. I guess he's retired now, but he sent me that, and I was like, couldn't believe the stuff he did with the ball. It's impressive. Kind of like if you ever watched in American football, and if you're going to refer to the USA, at least call it soccer for the USA. in the USA, it's soccer. But in American football, it's like watching Barry Sanders. To me, just watching videos of Barry Sanders and how he played, he made people look like children on the field with him. And that's kind of like the guy that guy sent me a video of. And I've already forgot his name because it was a long time ago. I think I saved it. No, Brady. Okay. I probably will have a lot of people arguing with me, but he's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He is a Hall of Fame quarterback. But he is not the greatest quarterback. He had a lot of good teams, a lot of good coaching. He's a good commander. Yeah, well, jerks can. People who don't know how to prioritize in life can lose just about anybody if they work at it. Doesn't matter how caring that person is. But whatever. Yeah, Brady obviously put football before his family, and that cost him. But the greatest football player, certainly the most fun I ever thought to watch, was Barry Sanders. There were some other pretty great running backs in time, but nobody ever matched Barry Sanders. Just like every league has somebody, right? I mean, in basketball, it was like Michael Jordan. Some people say Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain was just a freak for his time. He was at that time of the existence of basketball, he was just a guy out of his time. I don't think he was as good as his stats showed because he was just playing against people that were literally, physically unmatched to him. That kind of doesn't exist anymore. But LeBron is very good, and a lot of people would compare him to Michael Jordan as one of the greater players of all time. I don't think he was better than Jordan, but I think he deserves the comparison for sure. He's been pretty amazing. I don't follow a lot of the other sports, but I know like golf had Tiger Woods, and there was also some great players. But Tiger Woods, when he was in his prime, was like on another plane. I mean, he did things in golf that people never thought was possible, and so he was just that. So every sport has its one or two great players that are just so far beyond everybody else. It feels like they're not even human. It's just that far beyond. And I think you could find that in every sport. Soccer's got, at least one or two or three of those because they got worldwide players, and they've got some guys that have just peaked at that level, but like for me, the longest time I thought Pele was the greatest of all time, but then people started throwing at me, oh, well, it was this guy and this guy, and I watch videos, I'm like, whoa, okay. These guys are pretty amazing. Pele was what, the 70s? So that goes to show you how dated I was. And then David Beckham, I heard, was supposed to be one of the greatest. And then it's like, okay, well, maybe not. And then I hear, Lionel Messi, I've heard of him. And then I heard of this other guy, like I said, I can't remember his name right now. But they were just beyond level. Don't look young enough to be a college graduate. That would mean I'm definitely old enough to be a college graduate. But you're talking about like having currently graduated or recently graduated? No, I am not a recent graduate of college. In fact, I've never graduated. I only ever went to like, I've done college courses. I've never completed any graduate. I'm self-taught in all of my skills. So, in fact, when I started developing this game, I'd never heard of Go. Seriously, I had never heard of Go. It's been around for so long, and when I started developing it, I'm like, okay, I did my basic prototype in React. I just did it in React. I created a basic functioning simulation of a game in React. And then I thought, there's so many games out there that are so screwed up, I'm going to try to do it right. So I said, all right, how am I going to do this? I'm going to do it on an Android app. Eventually I'll convert it to PC and iPhone, but it's going to start off as an Android app. And then I go, what's the most common tools for Android for developing a game? What game engine are they using? What database? What backend? And I picked the games I thought were done really well. Not football, because I didn't think any were. But I looked for other games and tried to figure out what are they using. Like Marvel Snap, I think, is done really well. It's got its own flaws, but it's not game related. It's developer related. They put the stupid money ahead of everything else. And there's some features and functionality I'm not a fan of, but the game is done really well. It looks good. It plays well. It's fun. It's simple. And they do, it has all of the basic elements of what to me is an impressive game. So I said, well, what are they using? I looked at some other games that are really popular. I looked at Madden just because I was curious how they render their game. Ultimately, I decided to go with Unity, which, by the way, I had never heard of Unity. I may have heard the name, didn't know what it was exactly or how it worked. I knew nothing about it. I still know nothing about it. I only know of it. I've installed the UI, but I haven't gotten to it yet. I'm trying to create the underlying infrastructure, all of the simulation logic, database functions, plays, playbooks, game simulation logic, or game plan, and playbook loading and unloading. This way, when I go do the Unity part of it, I have functional code. I just need to import. And then it'll be about learning the Unity interface and pulling that out. But I had never developed in React before June of last year. I hadn't done anything significant in it until probably this game, which I started in the end of October, early November. This is the most React I've done. I've took a few React class kind of things to learn what it was back in May and June. And then, what else? Oh, Mongo database. Never done anything in Mongo. In fact, the first time I implemented it into an app was on this in December. No, I'm a developer. I don't code for fun. I'm coding for fun, but I've been a developer since forever. I've been a developer for a long time. Here's the problem. I'm out of work right now. I'm unemployed. And I got laid off back in April of last year. I've since sent out like over 300 resumes trying to get work. But apparently my skills were outdated. I'm C# developer, but I learned in framework. I'm a SQL developer. I consider myself pretty much expert SQL Server developer. I developed an entire application just running it all in SQL Server with some C# front end, but it was ASP.NET and .NET Framework, which, by the way, aren't what everybody's using now. They're all using MVC and .NET Code, not .NET Core. And so I'm building skills right now. That's kind of one of the reasons I did this, because React is huge. Go is huge, apparently. Unity's popular. Mongo database is popular. And I knew none of these things well enough to get a job. So I thought, well, I wasn't planning to develop a game. But I said I was going to do some game reviews. Just decided I was going to do game reviews on football. Let's find the best one. So I started looking at all the managers and all of the simulators. And I go, these all suck. It's like none of them are good. They all have problems, things I dislike immensely. And the ones I liked, even for a short time, I immediately found their flaws within a few days. I'm like, oh, this is going to suck. Because, the free-to-plays, which put the money first, and so eventually you can't do anything if you're not paying. No, I am doing this full-time right now until I get a job. It's actually not to stay competitive, it's to get competitive. I apparently can't get a job with my current skills. Or with the skills I am at best at. With the skills I am best at. I can program in VB.NET, which is useless. Actually, you know what? I actually had someone call me about a VB.NET position, and then they disappeared. Then they ghosted. It's like, what? What was going on? Said, oh, we're actively recruiting for a VB.NET position. And I said, all right. Hello? Hello? Hey, I know VB. But so VB.NET, C#, all of my stuff is just 10 or 15 years old, apparently, even though I have 5, 10, 15 years of experience in those things. SQL Server is probably the only one that's useful, but it's a back-end database, and until I need to get my skills of the front-end stuff on there. So yeah. That's a thought. I've considered trying to go into management. I actually had an opportunity, I want to say about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, to start working towards management. And I said, I want nothing to do with management. I do not want to be a manager. That'll suck. I don't want to be in charge. But as the years went on, I started thinking, yeah, I could probably do management. In fact, I've managed people on regular basis. I've been a lead. I've actually developed and created my own product, the Mage Cage and the X-Case. You can see those on YouTube and Instagram. If you go to Active Minds Games, it's a storage container for miniatures. And it's a expandable, transportable display case for like miniatures. Like if you play D&D or Warhammer or any of those kind of games, or if you just want to collect minis, hang them on the wall, these cases do all of it. They're everything, and it's expandable, so you connect them to each other. Anyway, I had to manage that process. So I dealt a lot with managing my manufacturers, my what do you call it, the distributors, retailers. I worked with them a lot. I've worked with also the what do you call it? Not the distributors. Yeah, they're the ones who take your product and ship it for you. Whatever, the middleman. Well, I wouldn't call me old age, but but yes, I'm older. I'm not fresh out of college. It's interesting though. I find it, all the jobs out there, even if you're looking for work as an entry level, a lot of them want like 3, 4, 5 years of experience. And I'm like, how do college grads get jobs? It's like they're not coming out of college with experience. And I've talked to a few that have said they're struggling to find work because every job wants experience. And it's like every job wants experience in like 5 different things. But the super senior people that are really expensive, so they can't hire. There's not like entry level is not asking for entry level anymore. Entry level is asking for basically middle tier experience in all these different areas. So it makes it hard for people on any side to find a job because companies are so picky. All right, so what time is it? I'm at 11 o'clock. Okay, so here's how I've been doing my development lately. I have been trying to break it up into 2 to 3 sessions. Oops, that one's really weird like that. Where I'm I do like a morning session where I'm working on something. This one I got a little distracted, but I don't mind. I always like talking about my process development. But I try to break it up so that I don't have one long, super long session. Plus, my middle of the day, I try to apply towards working on my fundraisers, my job applications. I should what? I love design. To me, application design, use a prettier VS Code extension. I do use Prettier. Oh, I didn't even think about it, but Prettier probably could have done that. I do have Prettier on here, and I could have probably clicked it. It didn't occur to me. I forget to use it sometimes. It doesn't work with Go, though. I've noticed it doesn't do anything for Go, but it probably would work with my with this. I don't know if will Prettier work with JSON? It might. Is there I don't know. You're right, but Prettier is nice. I do use it for a lot of my visual. Like I use it when I'm doing my the web part, React. I use Prettier for that quite a bit. But I don't know why I didn't think about it. I just saw that it was off. I thought maybe it was only a couple of them that were off. It does do JSON? Yeah, I probably should have. It would have saved me a few seconds. A few moments. Because it's like, I forgot what it is. It's like Control Shift F or Alt Shift F and it just triggers it. Or I can just go down here and click Prettier. See? It has this. I don't think it doesn't work with Go. There's a Go. I was kind of looking to see if there was a Go extension for Prettier, but there wasn't. Yeah, see, there's not a. They don't have Prettier for Go. They have Prettier for SQL. Here's JavaScript. I should probably put that one in. But yeah, Prettier's are cool. I use it a lot. Is there a Go code formatter? Go dot. It's VS Code formatter for Go dot. I don't know what Go dot is. Is that Go? I mean, this isn't Go. It hasn't been too big of an issue. I kind of try to format as I go, but nah. I have gone down rabbit holes and got myself distracted into doing certain other things. But I'm never going to finish my game if I let myself start running down. Besides, I'm not a Go expert. I am not the person to decide the proper formatting for Go. It's like I said, I've got all of month and a half of Go experience right now. I started programming this application. I've programmed all these services that I've got here, and it's going to end up being like double this, or maybe more by the time I'm done. But all these services are all done in Go, and I didn't know anything about Go before. But I'll be honest, I'm using AI quite a bit. I'm going to use Unity for my game engine, for my graphics engine. Make what stuff easy? See, again, it makes sense. There's probably a lot I don't know about Go. All right, let's ask this. What is Go dot? Oops. Yeah, see, I'm planning to use Unity. I don't know if I want to use Godot, because Unity is going to be my since I'm doing it on the Android. My app is going to be on Android. It is microservice. All of this is microservice. These are all services. Game plan, gateway. I have the I'm using a gRPC gateway to control all of my game. So this way I can go through the gateway and it routes to the various services. So I've got my authentication service, playbook service. My simulator service is the one I'm trying to get everything ready for right now, so I can get all my simulations moved to the back end. And then I've got my player service, which isn't ready yet either. That's when I'm going to start actually implementing players. My game plan, which has got a lot going on, that handles all of my game situations and that kind of stuff. So I have a lot of services built on here. They could be broken out. Like I have, like this is my Go microservices, but they don't have to all be on here. They're just being worked together in a single project. They're standalone services. The only thing that's shared between them is this common. But really, it's not shared. Monolithic means it's all one big gargantuan application where they're all tied together in a way that they can't be pulled apart. So that's not what this is. These are microservices that all do they handle one little process. Well, some of them are a little bit more processed than others, but they could theoretically be pulled out and put somewhere else. I would just have to I would have to tell the gateway where they're located. I have to give them the port and the path to it so that it can route to them. So if I wanted to put like all my simulation services, related services on one server, I could do that. I would just have to tell my gateway, okay, they're over on this other server, and go talk to them over there. Or it's a good way I could distribute them any way I wanted to. The common, I'm not a huge fan of the common, but this is the way I found if you have common code that you want everything to use. But it's kind of a kludge, which basically means a muck. If you don't know what a kludge means, it just basically, what happens is when I deploy this, I'm deploying to Docker, right? So my environments are, I have my local, I have local dev, which is a Docker version of my local environment. So it just means I just go straight to Docker locally and I can see how things are working. Then when I check into GitHub, I have an automated continuous integration going on that automatically deploys it to Docker in the test environment. And then I can run my Docker test. You know, the biggest problem I have, and I appreciate your saying that. I mean, you haven't seen a lot of what I do other than what I'm telling you. But I do appreciate it. I don't even get calls. That's the problem. My resume, I've had it professionally edited. I've edited it myself. I've tweaked, I've looked, I've had a dozen different people looking at it to try to make my resume look as good as possible. And it does. It looks nice. It's a good resume. Got a lot of detail, you know, and it's one-paged. I mean, it looks pretty decent. And I even have multiple versions of it for specific types of jobs. But I don't even get calls. It's like whatever it is, I can't get companies to even, I don't know what it is. I can't even get to I don't get a chance to chat. And they're, you know, and then they say stuff like, you don't need necessarily to have a college degree if you have the experience. But they don't consider your experience once they call you. It's like jobs don't consider your experience once they call you. See, I know this stuff, I'm learning this stuff, but I'm not an expert in this stuff. And what I mean by that is I am taking in so much information in my head right now with the help of AI. And so my brain is pretty good at structuring logic, looking for flaws, figuring out if the code is correct, laying it out in the proper way. I'm great at designing, which means I can pull together how I want the function to work, how I want to look from the user's interface, and build this thing and structure it. That's all great. But when you start getting into these languages, you know, I have to reference a lot. I have to go to AI a lot and go, hey, look, I need this functionality. And I'm pretty good at looking at it and making sure it's not breaking things and not messing up my code. And I can optimize. I can see that there's a flaw here. There's no too much redundancy, and use my years of experience in developing to make the code work better. And so that's what I'm doing, but I don't know all this syntax. I'm learning it, getting better at it. But when you go to a job interview, or technical job interview, they go, okay, we have this 45-minute test. We want you to code this random thing, and you got 45 minutes to do it. And I'm like, yeah, unless you're gonna let me work with AI, I know how to structure it and start working towards it. But if it isn't gonna let me have something to build the syntax, I probably couldn't build an app syntactically correct in Go, or build syntactically correct React. I'm getting better. I could probably do basic React syntactically without the help of, you know, AI. But AI has helped me a lot in getting syntax right for these different languages, and I'm learning a lot of how they work and how they function. But you couldn't throw me in a room and say type me up a Go service. I would know that I'd start with all of these files, because I've learned you need to have a type. Well, a good service will probably have a main, a type, a service, a store. You may have some specific task functions, like the simulators got the run game Go files, but you still have the types, the store, the service, the main, and the gRPC handler, which is the interface that deals with the gRPC gateway. Yeah, they should learn to have interviews or tech interviews that work with your system design and your knowledge of how to make an optimized application. Because right now, syntax doesn't matter as much. As AI becomes more prevalent, AI can help you get the syntax. So you can dive into other languages pretty easy. And if you've got the knowledge and skill to build a solid app, knowing what kinds of functionality you need and how to clean it up, I've got that in spades, then you can get around it, syntax, because there's tools now that make syntax easy. And basically having good knowledge of programming helps me to make sure that my app is good. Like, one of the things I did is I built this gateway application, a gRPC gateway, right? And then I started building services. Well, I had built the first couple of them not knowing anything about how these microservices are set up. But as I started learning how they came out, once they started functioning, I'm like, okay, these are done totally different. I want to refactor them. So I refactored all my services to be the same process. So now I can basically build any of my services on my own, even without AI now, because I know what's required to make them all be in flow and same styles. Yeah, I know. The people who do good at that though, there is these game jams they call them, and this is where I would struggle. They have these things called game jams. If you're a game developer, you go to these places and you say, all right, you got 1, 2, 3 days to write an entire game. Now, obviously, these are very simplistic games, very basic stuff. My brain can't handle that. I I can't conceive of making something so basic that because it's so bad. Every time I've ever seen something you do in a game, where did you put it on my? Did you put it on my Discord? Where did you put it? I don't know. But I've looked at them and it's like I can't because I want to optimize. I want to clean. I want to make it look good, and ultimately it helps for developing a big project like this game. This game's a big project. It's going to take me a year before it's got. I would say I'll be in a beta stage by the end of the year. Maybe alpha. I don't know. We'll see. It all depends on how far I get with the Unity part. I feel like I've been making good progress. Got a ton done. You can see I keep track on my development description. It's day 61. That's 61 days of working on the project. And probably it's closer. I mean, since I started at the end of October, it's actually been more like 90 days. But I haven't actually worked on it every day. I never work on Saturdays. And I've skipped a lot of days, the holidays and other things. But so I try to always increment this. Now, if I do multiple sessions in a day, it'll be like 61.1.2.3, But anyway, I got to take a break. But yeah, send me a link. If you sent a link and it's being blocked or whatever, put it in my Discord. It should be underneath in my description. And I'll take a look at it. I'm going to be back. I have to do a couple things for the next couple hours. My next session, I'll start around 1:30. Until then, Ariano Throwaway, hey man, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you feel inclined to subscribe or follow. And then maybe I'll see you again in the future. Maybe later. Where are you from, man? Let me know that too. I gather you're being a soccer fan. You must not be from the U.S. I mean, there are soccer fans in the U.S., but we don't have the same rabid, worldly soccer people. And plus, here in the U.S., we call American football, and soccer. So I would imagine either you're not from the U.S. and you're here, or you're not here either. I'm just curious because I'm wondering what your time zone is, because I've had a number of people come on here, and they're always on like at midnight and 3 o'clock 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, how do you stay up so late to watch a streamer? Till next time, man. God bless.